All right, welcome to episode 9 of No Final Bell. I wanted to get a shout out to Xavier Woods. He is the current
King Woods.
he's the current King of the Ring, winning.
All hail King Woods.
Yeah, all hail King Woods. He won that Covenant King of the Ring tournament.
He defeated Finn Balor, but it's okay because Finn Balor never was meant to be a king. He was always a prince.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, I've been saying it all along. I think I'm gonna say it here again. It wouldn't shock me if he does get a hella big push. But then again, look at all the other King of the Rings, and it really hasn't mean much at all. Like, you just end up being the King of the Ring, and then you don't result into anything. I think this time it's gonna result into some bigger stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think this time is actually going to, do great things.
Look what happened with the two other members of the New Day. Kofi became WWE champion. Big E became WWE champion.
However,
Now I feel like it's Xavier's time to become a world champion.
somebody, I was seeing a lot of comments about it from a lot of people. They made a good point, and I never realized that until now. Xavier Woods is like the first face King of the Ring in quite a while. There hasn't been a lot of face kings of the ring, and it's great though for Woods because I feel like they're actually, but and people made a good point is like, oh, usually they have heels win King of the Ring so that they can be ascended further up, like it'll give them a bigger like heel status or like whatever. But
Yeah.
either way,
So
I'm happy for Woods.
congrats to him.
Congratulations, well deserved in my opinion.
I think so.
So now we have some Impact talk. Now, keep in mind for Impact, this is 2 weeks ago and last week's Impact results. So I will start with the Impact tapings from 2 weeks ago. We start off with a six-man tag between Bullet Club and Finjuice and Chris Sabin. Finjuice and Chris Sabin ended up losing to Bullet Club. We have Heath coming to address the Impact universe because he returned and he just wanted answers from Rhino and BBD. And then Violent by Design beat him down. Rhino is nowhere to be found. We don't know where his allegiance lies, but either way, I believe this was the Impact before Knockouts Knockdown. So we have Tasha steals the victory from Mercedes Martinez in a 6 knockout tag team match, and then we have Alicia Edwards wanting revenge on Kimberly, and she just wants revenge for the fallen Swingerella. Then we have the Influence just wanting to prepare for Knockouts Knockdown against Decay, which we already know the result of that. Decay ended up retaining. Moose and W. Morrissey officially enter the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. And then we have the X Division Championship Tournament. Steve Macklin defeated Black Taurus and Petey Williams. But the most interesting thing about this week's taping is that Christopher Daniels wants to challenge Christian Cage for the Impact World title, and he said it doesn't matter where it is. The ring skirts could say AEW or Impact Wrestling. Either way, Christopher Daniels wants a shot at the championship he never won. The Impact World Championship. I think that I would love to see that, regardless of where it is. Whether it be in Impact Wrestling, whether it be in AEW, like on Rampage or on Dynamite. It would be an amazing match either way. You could even have it at like an AEW or an Impact pay-per-view. Those two
Right.
would absolutely just have a barn burner of a match for the Impact World title.
I think it's more so going to happen at Impact. I'm glad that Christopher Daniels
If it
is
happens
finally
in
getting.
AEW, though, I wouldn't be that mad. And
Yeah.
even then, like, it would be cool. It would bring it would bring a great match to a worldwide audience. Like, and that's the thing too. It's not that Impact is a bad promotion, and I feel like a lot of more people should actually give it a chance. But at the same time, they have a niche audience. Especially on Access TV, they have a very niche audience. I don't know if Impact still does the simulcasts of their tapings on Twitch. They might still do it. Either way, Impact just has a very niche audience with
Right.
their product. And, um, but moving on and back to the Impact talk, Johnny Swinger is upset that he has to shut down Swinger's Palace because he does not have a valid casino license to run in Las Vegas. Um, then we have a tag team match between Zicky Dice and Manny Lemons of the Learning Tree versus Rich Swann and Willie Mack. Rich Swann and Willie Mack obviously beat the Learning Tree's Zicky Dice and Manny Lemons. However, this is quite an interesting one. Scott D'Amore issues a no contact clause between Mickie James and Deonna Purrazzo, and they both get a pick your poison match. The poison at Knockouts Knockdown for Deonna Purrazzo was Masha Slamovich, and the pick your poison for Mickie James is actually this week, and it is against Savannah Evans. But if Deonna breaks the clause, she is stripped of her title, and then if Mickie breaks the clause, her championship match is off at Bound for Glory. So then we have the main event. Christian Cage and Josh Alexander beat Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, but tensions continue to rise, and they will continue to rise more in the coming weeks up to Bound for Glory as well. We'll get into that, though. Then we have some more digital media championship tournament stuff. Fallah Bob defeats Sam Beal, and Jordan Grace defeats Johnny Swinger. So, what I get out of the digital media championship is that it will potentially be an intergender championship, which, I feel like it could work. But moving on to the Impact Wrestling tapings, we have El Phantasmo being the last participant in the X Division Championship match at Bound for Glory. He won the last match in the X Division Championship tournament. So now it is El Phantasmo versus Steve Macklin versus Trey Miguel at Bound for Glory to determine the new X Division champion, as Josh Alexander did surrender that championship to Invoke Option C at Bound for Glory. So then we move on to a match between Savannah Evans and Lady Frost. Savannah Evans wins that match, and like I said, Deonna Purrazzo picked Savannah Evans to be Mickie James' poison. The Inspiration, formerly the Iconics, Kathy Lee and Jessie McKay, pretty much walking right into Bound for Glory and getting a Knockouts Tag Team title opportunity, which is, crazy to think about, but at the same time, it's like, hey, what better way to stake your claim in Impact Wrestling than to go right after the Knockouts Tag Team titles?
Right.
Moving on, we have Rich Swann and VSK. Rich Swann beats VSK. We have a little segment backstage with more Swingers Palace stuff. So Chris Sabin goes in and he sees Swingerella number 2, and Swingerella number 2 is like, hey, I really like you. What do you say you, ditch going to Bound for Glory and choose staying in Nashville with me? Chris Sabin is like, well, yeah, no thanks. Wrestling is my true love and my true passion, so he chose wrestling over Swingerella number 2, and he basked in the memories of Swingers Palace, because, let's face it, Chris Sabin loved Swingers Palace. Next up, we have another segment backstage with Heath and Scott D'Amore. Heath makes it official. Heath is now a part of the Impact Wrestling roster. And with that, before he signed his contract, he wanted one match at Bound for Glory, and it will be a tag team match, potential tag team match, with Heath and Rhino versus VBD. But they did Scott D'Amore did tell Heath that if Rhino does not basically pledge his allegiance to Heath, then Heath goes into it by himself. It is essentially a 1-on-2 handicap match, but regardless, that is a match that is happening at Bound for Glory. I could only assume that maybe Rhino will team with Heath, but then again, we don't know where his allegiance lies. Moving on, though, Alex Zane throws out a challenge to Trey Miguel because if we remember correctly, Trey Miguel and Alex Zane went up again. It was Alex Zane versus Trey Miguel versus Laredo Kid in the first match of the X Division Championship Tournament, the Triple Threat Series, and then basically Trey Miguel got the win after Alex Zane essentially did the bait and did all the work. So Alex Zane is like, hey, I bet you can't beat me one-on-one, so why don't we go one-on-one and then let's see if you can really beat Alex Zane. Either way, we have the Good Brothers. They want an answer for their proposal of Bullet Club versus FinJuice in a number one contenders match. So they haven't gotten an answer yet, and they just want one. Moving on, the main event of the night, or at least the main event match, was a 20-man battle royal where the winner of the battle royal will enter at number 20 in the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, and the runner-up will enter at number 1. So W. Morrissey ended up winning that battle royal. He will enter at number 20 of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, and Chris Sabin will enter at number 1. So moving on to the main event segment, it was called the Summit, in quotation marks, for Bound for Glory between Christian Cage and Josh Alexander. Some footage ended up surfacing of Christian Cage at a AEW Fan Fest disrespecting Josh Alexander. And with that, Josh Alexander's like, I can't believe you said this about me. I've lost all respect for you now. So, because basically what happened is somebody asked Christian Cage, who would you like to face outside of AEW? And I believe Josh Alexander's name was mentioned, and he's like, who? I've never heard of this guy. So, and Christian tried to play it off as like, it's a rib. I'm ribbing you. And Josh Alexander wasn't having any of it. So, that's all the Impact news. I will send it over to Jason for some AEW news.
Yeah, well, this week, also like next week, Rampage will be before Dynamite.
Before Dynamite,
unfortunately, I don't know how soon it'll go back to Wednesdays, but right now, as you can tell, we're actually recording on a Friday. This will be uploaded most likely Saturday. I'm probably thinking Saturday morning, if anything. I think I might want to try to do it where whenever Dynamite comes off, we record this podcast and have it before Dynamite happens. So, it's probably not going to be every single time type of thing, but, with schedules permitting, this is probably how it's going to be for a little bit. I might have to discuss with Zach and see maybe about doing a different day for the podcast. I mean, Sundays are for Tinkle Sports Talk. Why not Saturdays for No Final Bell? I don't know if Wednesdays will work going forward, but we'll definitely let you guys know. But starting off, it was Rampage. Rampage was actually live for once. CM Punk, Matt Sydal was going to go up against Leo Rush basically promised Matt Sydal, well, hey, man, I'll give you this match with CM Punk. But the thing is about this match with Matt Sydal, there was no Leo Rush in this match. So I'm like, it's kind of like you watch it and like, okay, why is Leo Rush trying to get involved with Matt Sydal when he's not even out there in this match?
Let us not forget to mention though that this match was completely commercial free.
Yes, commercial free. First 20 minutes of Rampage was commercial free, so they can combat with SmackDown, who would probably most likely have a
By the
commercial.
way, they ended up beating SmackDown in the demo.
Well, but SmackDown still won in the ratings, but they did lose in the most
Ratings
important
don't matter.
demo.
Ratings don't matter.
I didn't realize that Rampage did beat them in the demo. All I heard was that that SmackDown beat Rampage.
Well,
I'm like, oh,
obviously SmackDown is going to beat Rampage in the ratings, but the ratings don't matter. It's the demo that matters.
Yeah, that is very true. So CM Punk did beat up Matt Sydal, but it was a really good back and forth match. I tell you what, CM Punk, even at 40-something years old, has not missed a step whatsoever. He really has not. And so he was there and beat up on Matt Sydal. CM Punk gets, ends up being undefeated, and I'm very curious to think if he's actually going to be in that match. I didn't have it written down, but the participants for the World Title Tournament did get announced. If I remember correctly, it is Dustin Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, Bryan Danielson, Orange Cassidy. It's Andrade El Idolo. I think it's Pac, but I would have to go and let you guys.
You gotta say that Bryan Danielson is gonna win that.
Oh
World
yeah,
title
for sure. I
eliminator.
think he's gonna win it all. Honestly, it's pretty much a given at this point. I really do think that. Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just turning this light on. There we go, better light. But yeah, I really do think that Bryan Danielson will be the winner. And it kind of goes into the next point here for what I had written down. Heyman won the casino ladder match.
Yep.
He came in as a Joker. He got the poker chip. Guaranteed title
match.
shot at Full Gear. Now, I'll talk about his little promo a little bit later, but I'm gonna say this now. Heyman and Adam Page will go up against Kenny Omega for the championship of Full Gear. But you see that, he had that promo, but it makes you think. Now that you see the participants, and you see, well, you look at it and like, Bryan Danielson only really seems like the most popular pick for the being the next competitor. Of course, the finals match will be at Full Gear. I'm thinking it could be Orange Cassidy versus Bryan Danielson. That's my pick. It could be anybody on that left side against Bryan Danielson.
I feel like Bryan Danielson could have a really good match with Orange Cassidy.
I think so.
Orange Cassidy is one of those wrestlers that like he's kind of an like I don't know if I would say like an underdog, but in a way he kind of is an underdog, but like in a sense of his wrestling, he's kind of like that unpredictable wrestler. Where it's like you don't know what you're gonna get out of Orange Cassidy. Like he could be the guy that just stands there, hands in his pockets and whatever, and then next thing you know, he'll come at you with a flurry of like the orange punch or like whatever.
Right. So I had this question: who's the next in line? I think it's gonna be Bryan Danielson. I think this is definitely Adam Hangman Page's time to win the world championship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. Like they want to just have him come back after becoming a father. I'm pretty sure he is, but he left for a little bit. Hence why we didn't see him on television to be there for the birth of the son. Okay, so congratulations to Adam Hangman Page on either becoming a brand new father or being a father and welcoming a new child. I have no idea what's the situation. I would assume he just became a father.
I don't
so
know
congratulations,
much about his personal life
congratulations to Adam Hangman Page. We'll talk more about that. I'll talk more about that promo a little bit later, as it was actually on Dynamite. This is Rampage, where they announced that match happening. I think it was actually part of the it was actually announced by Tony Khan himself. I think it was last week's Dynamite that it was announced. I can't remember. All I know is that I think Bryan Danielson will be the next in line. He's going to go up against Kenny Omega, and he's going to have a Cinderella story match, kind of like Sammy Guevara. Had that one flaw, always having that one flaw, and then now has the confidence behind him, and I think he's actually going to get it done. there in
If
Minneapolis,
he doesn't get
Minnesota.
it done, then the fans will be highly disappointed.
And then, of course, Ruby Soho beats the bunny, but then gets beaten down by Penelope Ford by Brass Knuckles. So I really do think that there's going to be a big rivalry with Ruby
There's a
Soho
there's a
and Penelope
very
Ford and or the bunny, if not like a 2-on-1 handicap match, or just Ruby Soho or going up against Penelope Ford or the bunny itself. It's kind
there's
of
a
leading towards that. What I would like to see is there being kind of a payoff. Like whoever wins this kind of gets to be the number one contender. Um, Something like that. But I guess I'm okay with it. It makes sense for the storyline of what's going on with this. Of course, again, they had a little situation. They had their little thing, and that happened on Dynamite. I'll discuss
there's
it a little bit more.
there's a very weird alliance going on with Penelope Ford and the bunny. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but at the same time, it's like I'm sure there's some rhyme and reason as to why they are together, like as a team.
Right.
But
Of course, moving forward, I'm trying to get this out as fast as I can. American Top Team
yep,
beats the Inner Circle with the help from Paige Van Sant. Now, what
yeah,
does this mean for the Inner Circle? Clearly, what it means is, of course, I'll discuss it a little bit more because that happened on Dynamite, where, but basically what it entails is, I don't think they're done. Um, it did lead to Santana and Ortiz coming out and regrouping the Inner Circle for the first time in quite some time because they all had their own individual thing. Santana Ortiz had FTR to deal with. Sammy Guevara became the TNT champion. Chris Jericho had his thing with MJF. Now they're back together and they have problems with American Top Team. Of course, I think I know what this is going to entail. It's going to entail eventually a match at Full Gear, and I'm totally fine with that because I think that's exactly what's going to happen. But I'm glad that Inner Circle is back, reunited. Um, they did say, of course, I'll talk about it a little bit more. But again, going forward, Tay Conte beats Santana Garrett. I mean, Tay Conte is a pretty badass wrestler, but against Santana Garrett,
that was on the buy-in.
it kind of made all the sense. Like Tay Conte is, you know, all with Anna Jay and Dark Order. She's kind of there, kind of not in Dark Order. It's
She's
kind
not
of weird.
officially in Dark Order, but she hangs around Dark Order a lot.
And then of course, Bobby Fish.
Yes.
Man, I tell you what, he's a one hell of a guy. Wrestling 2 nights in a row in the same city. I give him a lot of props. But Bobby Fish ageless, he beats Lee Moriarty. And what could be like a really good back and forth match with a youngster who's just coming in. Really made Bobby Fish fight for it, but in the end, it was Bobby Fish that did beat Lee Moriarty.
Like I said, this is all on the buy-in before
Mm-hmm.
Rampage. The one that basically
Was on YouTube.
tried to compete.
The second hour of SmackDown.
Here's the interesting thing to note. Over 81,000 people tuned in to watch Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki. That's wild.
Yeah, on YouTube too.
Yes.
Let this sink in. But speaking of that, Bryan Danielson did beat Minoru Suzuki. It was a back and forth brawl between
With quite
both
the
gentlemen.
submission, by the way.
But Bryan Danielson did get the victory over Minoru Suzuki. Bryan Danielson has had one hell of a run in AEW. I mean, he has a very good track record. Yeah,
the match had a 30. It made you think that, like, oh crap, are they actually gonna give Minoru Suzuki and Bryan Danielson 30 minutes? But I believe it went within like 20, 25, maybe.
Right.
Either way, very, very good match, very back and forth. many different like strike exchanges,
Right.
which if you've never watched like a match in like a Japanese like strong style kind of, it's very heavily like strong style.
Yeah.
So you know, th- I um I forgot to mention that as well. Minoru Suzuki coming soon to Impact Wrestling.
Hmm.
I forgot to mention that in my Impact notes. Minoru Suzuki is coming soon to Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, the Forbidden Door is opening
That
even
Forbidden
wider.
Door continuing to open. But the thing is, it's opening more between like Impact and New Japan. You don't really see like a lot of. I mean, Minoru Suzuki is probably the one exception of like, oh yeah, they're like really opening that Forbidden Door with New Japan. It was more so opening a few months ago with AEW and New Japan, but it is somewhat still open, like the New Japan and AEW, but
Hmm.
it's more so like, oh yeah, we're opening the Forbidden Door between New Japan and Impact.
Right.
So, because I mean, yeah, Impact right now has Finn Juice, Hikuleo, El Phantasmo, um, now Minoru Suzuki. They did have what the hell was his name? He went up against Moxley at All Out.
Hey, what
Kojima.
do you think you're doing? Sorry.
Kojima. They did have Kojima in Impact Wrestling before he went to AEW and faced Moxley at All Out, but you know, a lot of these New Japan guys are really just opening that forbidden door in Impact. Who's to say though that Finn Juice maybe could go to AEW?
Right.
Maybe even Switchblade Jay White, which I forgot to mention as well. He was in Impact Wrestling for a little while there. Switchblade Jay White, the never openweight champion. He might not be never openweight champion anymore. I know he was when he was in Impact. He made his debut at Slammiversary after the main event, so I mean, you know, there is that, but
All right,
moving on.
going forward with
I got off on a little bit of a tangent. I do apologize.
going forward with now the Dynamite side of things. Malachi Black did get that match with Dante Martin, beats Dante Martin with a black mask. Then Leo Rush afterwards, after the match, was a little disappointed. He's like, hey man, you know, follow my lead, listen to what I say. And then he says, Dante Martin's got a new tag team partner, and it's Leo Rush.
Which kind of angered Darius Martin on social media.
Now, let me tell you this. I kind of like what they're going with that. I'm going to say this now. Fuck you, Jim Cornette. You know, you've been nothing more of saying so much shit about AEW and this about Leo Rush and that about Dante Martin. Oh, they're giving Dante Martin the gullible character. Shut the fuck up, alright? Stop shitting on AEW. You sound like all the fucking butthurt fans from WWE. Shut the literal fuck up, alright? They're beating WWE in a key demographic almost every single week. And yet, all you do is spew more and more fucking bullshit about how AEW is, shitty. Oh, they're never gonna do this, never gonna do that. Like, shut the fuck up, Jim Cornette. You
Here's
know
the
what?
thing.
You should be slapped so hard in the fucking face that your old senile old ass should just, like, sit the fuck down and shut the hell up
Here,
forever.
here's the thing about Jim Cornette, and like I can understand where he's coming from in a way because he's has a very old school like wrestling mentality. But the thing is, you know, much like everything else, wrestling evolved over time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you may not like it, Cornette, but this is the new direction that
Right.
professional wrestling and AEW is going. Just live with it and deal with it.
Right. I'm gonna say this now. I think it will lead into when Darius Martin does come back from his knee problem. Apparently that's what it was. They stated, well, because Dante Martin, his knee was kind of looking a little rough in that match against Malachi Black. Both men were going at each other. It was a really good match. If you haven't seen it, definitely recommend it to see. Both of them going up against each other. But let me tell you something. I think what this is going to lead is, yes, they're going to team up and they're going to be that group. I think what eventually it's going to lead to is Darius Martin, either going on the separate ways and being like heel, or somehow Darius Martin and Dante and Darius Martin turn on Leo Rush, which leads into a big thing where, it's the Martin brothers going up against Leo Rush, and somehow Leo Rush finds somebody new or something like that. So don't be shocked if that's the direction they go. I kind of like the character that they're going with both men. I really do think that that's what's going to end up happening, is that you're going to see like both Darius and Dante kind of teaming up against Leo Rush. So I kind of like the character direction. Yeah, and it might seem like Dante's a little gullible, don't get me wrong, but I honestly think that's what's going to happen. I'm totally fine with the character move. Yeah, Dante hasn't had the very best win-loss record. Don't get me wrong about that. But the thing is, like, I really do think that
the future is bright, though, for Dante Martin.
Yes, it is. Now, the Elite, before, their match later on, I'll talk about that a little bit later, but the Elite beat down on Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Again, I'm telling you, it's going to happen at Full Gear. That's what they've been going towards, is the Elite against the, Jurassic Express. It makes for all of it. But the thing is, right now, the Elite, yeah, wow. The Super Click there.
Yeah.
But not Super Click, not Adam Cole. It's
Oh, the Super Elite.
well, no. The Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are actually the number one contenders right now. So I don't know if they're gonna go up against Penta and Ray Phoenix for the tag team titles. They very well might. Who the hell knows? But what it seems like to me right now is that I don't know if they might have like a match before Full Gear, or it's gonna be at Full Gear. I don't know what direction they're gonna go for that. It just seems like right now, like, they have no real plan for the tag team match heading to Full Gear. Like, I don't even know. Like, they haven't really been saying. I don't want it something like where they just put it together and be like, here, we're gonna have a rematch of Full Gear. I mean, it'd be all right, but again, still. But I really do think that that's what's going to happen. It's going to be the Elite against the Jurassic Express in some way, because every single week it's literally been Elite beating down them, or Jurassic Express beating down on the Elite. It's leading to a match of Full Gear, and I think it's going to happen. Now, going forward, Inner Circle and American Top Team want a tag team match. Will it happen at Full Gear? I kind of stated it already. I think it's going to happen. But I will go into more detail. Inner Circle said they want the Men of the Year to choose any 3 people to go up against the Inner Circle with them. So that kind of makes me a little worried. What 3 people?
It could be American Top Team.
What are you going to, like? What other 3 guys are you gonna get? Are you gonna get Junior Dos Santos again? Are you gonna get like Jose?
Are you gonna get Jorge Masvidal, Andre Arlovsky, the other guy there?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's going to be interesting what kind of other 3 guys that are going to team up with Men of the Year. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be, they want a 10-man tag team. They're going to discuss it tomorrow. So if or actually today they're going to discuss it. So if you're watching Dynamite later tonight, definitely make sure to see, who they're going to have. They could very well say, you know what, we're going to give you this 10-man tag team match, but it's not going to happen tonight. It's not going to happen on Rampage. We want it at Full Gear. So don't be shocked if that is what's going to happen. And American Top Team discuss, like, who's going to be their 5 And of course, Inner Circle's 5. It's Santana, Ortiz, Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, and Chris Jericho. That's the 5. That's always been the 5 for Inner Circle. I mean, I mean, you hit MJF, but technically Sammy Guevara was out of the picture. We don't want to really talk about that too much, but again, I'm very intrigued to see who's going to be the 5 for American Top Team. I think it's going to be a great match at Full Gear if there was to happen. Even if it's on a Dynamite, still, it's something that's going to be awesome to watch. Now, this was an interesting one. Next match was, AAA Tag Team title match, but it was Penta and Rey Fenix against a personal tag team of Andrade El Idolo, and it ended up being 2 green luchadors, and then CM Punk's like, I think that's FTR. They haven't done one flip in the match. I'm like, huh, interesting. Then they get unmasked, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess he was right. And they were calling him basically the Tony Romo of professional wrestling when it came to commentary, because he could predict things before they happen, which I kind of loved that little dig on Tony Romo, because it's exactly what he does as a commentator on CBS with Jim Nance. I just found that little stick a little hilarious, because I'm like, haha, I get that. I get it. Not a lot of people do. He's like, Tony Romo, wasn't he a quarterback? So that CM Punk, I love the unscripted commentary sometimes, because it's just hilarious. It really is. It's something that that they're talking right from from head to mouth, saying whatever they want to. But again, FTR does become the AAA Tag Team Champions, and a move that I'm like, why? Why the hell are you having the guys that are not even luchadors, who are not even part of Mexico, as their AAA Tag Team Champions?
I look at it this way, though. It's just another notch on their tag team title collection.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because
it makes you think: are they actually going to take this whole being the AAA Tag Champs serious, or are they just going to be like,
I feel like it's going to
we stole the titles and stuff like that? I don't know.
I feel like it's going to be something along the lines of like Kenny Omega, because I have not seen Kenny Omega defend the AAA Mega Championship like really at all. Okay, I shouldn't say at all, but he's kind of just defended it like not that often in AAA, because at least to my knowledge, the last notable time that he defended the AAA Mega Championship was at Triple Mania against Andrade El Idolo.
Right.
So
again, I'm gonna go forward here. Jon Moxley basically just buried Wheeler Yuta. That's all I have to say about that. I'm not gonna go into full details. He literally just went in there, gave him the double arm DDT there, and just ended it. It was lifting. It was just like
the paradigm shift.
Gave him the paradigm shift.
Death Rider, if you wanna.
And just
I call that
buried
one the Death
Wheeler
Rider,
Yuta.
and I call
that's all I can really say. Then Serena Deeb, we talked about it here before. Serena Deeb kind of looks like she's going into more of that heelish side, and Tony Schiavone asked her, was like, "Hey, we're seeing a little bit darker side from you. What's going up here?" It's like, "Well, I'm showcasing why this women's division is why I'm gonna run the women's division here." And then Hikaru Shida basically goes in there, beats the living ever. Like they go, have that rummage. They have the little beat down there after the interview. So I really do think it's going to lead into Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb going up against each other at some point on a Dynamite, or if not Full Gear. I have no idea.
You can definitely tell, though, that they're building towards Hikaru Shida's big 50th career win in AEW.
Yeah, I think it's going to come to Serena Deeb, but who knows. But the Elite beat the Dark Order, and then Jungle Boy beats down on Brandon Cutler. I think it's to make a statement that, hey, you can keep on beating me down all you want, but I'm going to beat down one of your guys to make a statement. They can't just leave Brandon Cutler there to get beaten down by Jungle Boy. Like, they care about him anyway.
Not that it wouldn't still make a statement to the elite, but at the same time, it's not really making a statement to the elite. I mean, you're basically beating down the bait of the elite.
So I really do think that there's. I love the way that they're telling this, the story heading into Full Gear. Like it's definitely gonna happen. I think it's really going. I honestly do think that it's gonna be Jurassic Express against the Young Bucks. I mean, that's kind of like what they're heading towards. Um, See, for me, I would love to see Adam Cole part of that, World Tag Team or World Title thing. I don't know if I caught his name on there. I don't think he is. I don't think he's actually part of it. AEW, what are you doing, man? You should have had him at least part of it, because Adam Cole against Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson would have made for one hell of a match at Full Gear. Have a 30-minute time limit. Whoever wins becomes a new number one contender for the world title between either Adam Hangman Page or Kenny Omega. I just think that would have made a great match, but I did not really see Adam Cole's name up there, so it kind of sucks. But I will say, I'm glad. I've been saying it all along. I think Arn and Cody are kind of heading back into working up that friendship again. Cody Rhodes seems like Arn is toughening up Cody Rhodes. He told him about the time that his father Dusty Rhodes put in 17 staples in his head in a match.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Yeah.
hey, man, I deserve that ass whooping. You know who deserves an ass whooping? Malachi Black. And he was kind of toughening up Cody Rhodes. So I'm really thinking that it's leading towards a tougher, more agile Cody Rhodes. I don't know if that means in the sense of heel turn or not. It could very well mean.
If not a heel turn, definitely a character change.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be a character change. I think it's a much needed character change for Cody. And I think, I'm going to say this now. I haven't ever discussed it on the channel before, but I'm going to say this now. I think the main reason why he's getting booed right now is because all the fans thought he was retiring, and then he's like, nope. It was just because of the birth of my, daughter. I'm back. And I think that's the main reason why people are booing. It's like, he made everybody think that he was really hanging it up, and then he comes out of nowhere and says, hey, I'm back, and then everybody's like, wait,
I can believe
I
that.
thought you were gone.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, they're kind of. I think that's the main reason why he's getting booed right now. Is everybody's like,
you might have
you kind of played us.
Yeah.
Why the hell should we cheer you for? It's kind of like,
I can see that now.
So I think that's the main reason why he's getting booed. Because I was watching it on Road to the Top, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I almost totally forgot the whole angle about him, having the boots in. But you know what? I really do think he's going to go into Full Gear. I think he's going to get the win against Malachi Black. There wouldn't be any reason why you would change up his character, toughen him up, if you would just have him end up losing again to Malachi Black. Yeah, it sucked to have him derail his confidence in the way that he's been beating up guys, but you don't just toughen up and change up Cody's character just to have him lose again. And just, I don't know.
I agree with that.
Just saying. So MJF comes out, says, oh, did I finally break your spirit there? Did I finally, beat you up mentally there, Darby? Because he wanted up a match with Darby. He didn't show up. And you know what it reminded me of? The whole Chris Jericho Goldberg thing, where, Chris Jericho wanted Goldberg almost every single time. And then the whole 10 count, you count him type of thing, and then a no-show. But the only difference is Sting came out before the 10 count. So, but he ends up going to the ring, has the baseball bat, did beat down on Wardlow. MJF made the effort like he was going to go in the ring, but cowered out, went out the left-hand side. So, it's very curious to see if it ends up being a tag team match heading to Full Gear, or if it's just going to be Darby and MJF. I'm pretty sure that's the plan, it's just Darby and MJF. Of course, it was part of Tony Khan's notes that got leaked that showed Darby Allin versus MJF. So, but then again, you don't know. he makes me want to think that it's going to be that, but he could have very well changed it where it could be actually a tag team match heading into Full Gear, and I think it makes the most sense. You haven't had Sting on a match or a television match in quite
In a
some
while,
time,
yeah.
so I think it makes the most sense to have NGF and Wardlow go up against Sting and Darby. I just think it makes the most sense heading towards a match at Full Gear. So I would be totally fine with that. I'm going to keep on moving forward here, try to get this done as fast as I can. Anna Jay goes back and forth with shots with Brit Baker. What does this mean? I have no idea right now. It was kind of like an interview segment. Anna Jay was talking to Tony Schiavone, and then Britt Baker came out of nowhere and said, "Oh well, your Dark Order there are a bunch of losers, and the Elite Baby is, or the Super Elite Baby is, the winners." Which, I mean, she's not wrong. They kind of are the
Yeah, but she's
winners.
just kind of cheering on her boyfriend there. That's
So,
all I got from
what does
that.
it mean?
That's all
I would
get
assume
from
it's
that.
going to eventually lead into a match between Anna Jay and Britt Baker, and I think Britt Baker is going to probably win. I mean, come on, she's a champion. She's been looking really good as a champion. So I think that's what that means. Going forward, Penelope Ford does beat Kiara Hogan, and then Ruby Soho, again, that's what I'm saying. Ruby Soho and Penelope Ford and the Bunny, they're really showcasing that it's going to lead to something. So I really do think that Ruby Soho.
Interesting, though, that you mentioned Kira Hogan because she has actually signed a contract with AEW. They kind of silently announced that, but I ended up finding out about it online. Either way, Kira Hogan, we'll see how well she fits into the women's division in AEW, but I think she's a welcome addition.
But Ruby Soho does beat down Ford after the match. I think Ruby Soho is. Hopefully, she's going to be part of that TBS Championship tournament. I really do think that it's going to lead into something, maybe the buy-in match for Full Gear, if anything, or even the match on, like maybe one of the first matches on Full Gear. Who the heck knows? But I'm actually all for it. I just think that it's just something that they're throwing together because they just don't know what else to have match-wise. But then again,
Probably.
I guess it makes sense because she has to get through them before she can go anywhere else.
Yeah.
So you kind of, I kind of like it because she kind of like got shot up to the top. She's kind of going down, but she's kind of working her way back up. I kind of like that. It's like, I kind of like that in the sense that they're not just like having her come right straight from WWE,
Right.
having her win that match, then go and already become the women's champion. I kind of like that sense that she did
They gotta
lose,
slowly build her
and they're
up
slowly
anyways.
building her back up. I kind of like that sense because you kind of have to get through Penelope Ford and
Well, that's the thing
the
too.
Bunny there.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to just shoehorn somebody straight into like a title picture after coming off of after just being hired or like whatever, just being released, and now
Right.
like, oh hey, we picked them up. We think they would be a great champion, so we'll make them the champion right away anyways. Like, no, that's
Right.
not how wrestling works. That's not how any promotion should really do business. And if they do business like that, it's probably just an indie promotion.
Right. So going forward, Adam Hangman Page says he will basically put his body online, show everybody why he is literally cowboy shit. He said that it was cowboy shit to take a chance leaving ROH and New Japan to start up AEW. It was cowboy shit to basically leave and be there for the birth of his son. It was literally cowboy shit to, not really have have the confidence now to be back and have confidence for the first time in his life. You want to know why? Because I think he's doing it for a different reason. At first, it was basically doing it for him, but now that he has actually like a family behind him, I think he feels confident that it's like, now I can do this not just for me, I can do this for my family, and
You gotta put food on that table for that newborn baby.
exactly. So I'm loving this whole different directive of Adam Hangman Page because at first, I mean, he was like, it was cowboy shit when Kenny Omega and us and me, Kenny Omega and I were the tag champions and putting them on the line every chance we got. So I'm definitely all for it. I think that he's gonna go there and actually become the new champion, show people he is cowboy shit. And of course, the final match of the night, or the final segment or match of the night, it was Bryan Danielson beating Bobby Fish with a nasty, I mean, one literal nasty looking heel hook. He was just wrenching that freaking heel, and it looked like, I'm not gonna say this, I know, WWE, they don't do it as best as MMA, but man, I'm sorry, but it looked like a legit heel hook. Like he was wrenching the whole.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Bryan Danielson is very proficient in submissions.
So honestly, I really do think that it was a legit heel hook. He got
He could have
He got Bobby Fish tapping.
If it is a legit heel hook, though, he could have very well broken Bobby Fish's leg.
I don't know. Well, it may have looked like that, but it was not on there very long. But the way that he twisted and contorted the leg, it's just, oh man, I was kind of cringing a little bit. It was like, damn, he really got it on there good. And then immediately Bobby Fish was tapping out. It makes you think, is Bobby Fish just here to basically put like certain talent over, or is he actually just?
It wouldn't be a bad thing, though. It wouldn't be a bad thing. I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's where they're headed for Bobby Fish, and they're just gonna give him, younger talent to put over, which is not a bad thing. And
right.
Even then, like, whether he wins or he loses, he can make it work.
Exactly. So that's gonna wrap up this episode of No Final Bell. Of course, please follow on social media, like the channel, watch our other channels, our other podcasts, Tinkle Sports Live every Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, Tinkle Sports Talk every Sunday at 9. No Final Bell, of course, any chance it does come out. And also, make sure to check out Out of Turn 4 is every Tuesday morning or night. I can't remember anymore, but definitely check those out. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, please. We'd like to hear your input as much as possible. We do post on there very frequently. Also, please definitely give the channel a like, a subscribe, and a comment. We'd like to, grow this as much as we can. And until next time, everybody, please keep wrestling alive forever.